The next item is an action item. It involves the Union Colony Elementary Charter contract, and Chief Financial Officer Megan Sponsler and Executive Director of Student Support Services Kathy Van Soest will be joining each other at the podium. Welcome, and we hand it over to you again.
Okay. This evening we are here to present the Union Colony Charter School contract for the board to discuss. This contract incorporates both previous contracts into one, the Union Colony Elementary Charter School contract, which has reached its maturity level, as well as the Union Colony Secondary Prep School contract. This contract that is before you is for 15 years. We turn it over to you for discussion.
It is an action item, so I will entertain a motion at this time.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the contract with Union Colony Charter Schools as presented, subject to final review by legal counsel.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Conversation? Comments from the board? No comments, no questions? Just, I'm a moment of shock and awe here. Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Richardson.
So I think that, we've had some discussion around the duration of the contract, whether the 15 years is appropriate or whether another duration for the term of the contract would be appropriate. I think we should probably talk about that and convince ourselves one way or another what time frame we should allot to this contract and whether 15 years would be appropriate or not. I do think, though, that we've had a good partner in Union Colony. I know that in discussions with our administration that the negotiations have been fair and open, and I think that that's a good measure to show that that would continue going forward. I do think that it's important for us as a Board of Education to show that we're partners, and that we'd like to work on getting to the request of 15 years. I'm not sure that's the number, but I think what the spirit that's been asked for is an extended contract, and so I think that's probably something for us to consider, is whether or not we want something to be considered an extended contract, so that it's a good message for us to send to Union Colony and a good message for us to send to our community that we're working together in this. So I'm supportive of some sort of extended contract beyond what we've historically done at 4 years for other schools that have been applying. And granted, this is with an established charter school with a track record and would be justified.
I see no other comments. Ms. Solis.
So as a new school board member, this has been kind of educational, because you have some charter schools that have very lengthy contracts and newer ones that have shorter contracts. So just trying to be fair across the board. We had a lot of discussion as to why certain ones had a 30-year or why this one had a 5. And so I learned a lot. And I definitely want to keep the partnership going, but I, again, have questions about that term and what that's going to look like. So, again, with Logan, I think we've definitely turned the page when it comes to the district working with our charter schools, and that it's more of a partnership, and that we are to the point that we recognize that all of these kiddos are our kiddos, and we need to work together to make sure that they're all successful.
Mr. Lydiak.
Again, being on the board for several years and through our first renewals, and looking at our relationship with charters, and even looking at how the state laws have changed and empowered school boards to have more oversight, I was actually very hesitant at first to support anything greater than 5 years, but after our executive session and legal counsel, I feel more confident in the checks and balances and the oversight that's now granted to boards of education to make sure that our charters and all of our schools are doing the job that they've been charged with in educating our students. So I don't have as strong of objections.
Thank you. Comment from my direction is that I think we've all been learning that this relationship between the district and school boards is a give and take. And we're making, I think, good strides to make sure that we're in good communication with one another more frequently than just when it's renewal time, more regularly than just when we have to speak to one another. I'm also much more familiar with the fact that a district has some responsibility, but not an awful lot of muscle in this relationship. But so that's looking at this fact that we are working on this to benefit all of our kids, and that the best way to do that is through good communication. And I believe that there is a framework here that will permit us to work very closely together to see that all of our schools are successful. And in working together like that, I'm just sure that a mature relationship is going to permit this to be a very successful contract going into the future. Mr. Liddy, another comment?
Well, I just forgot to add on to that other part, whereas I do like the consolidation and the what would you call it, second, third generation of this contract, and how much more straightforward and easier it is to understand the expectations, roles, and responsibilities. And I think there's a lot of upside. Our initial charter contracts are quite dated and a little convoluted. So,
Dr. Richard.
Well, I'd have to join in that I think this discussion tonight shouldn't or couldn't brand anyone as being pro-charter or anti-charter. That's a way too simplistic of a look at what this vote is about tonight. For us in District 6, it is an odd situation because we have that first generation of charter schools that happened decades literally ago, and have contracts that probably we do need to go and take a look at because they are decade and a half maybe old, Union Colony Prep being one of those. But we also have our new generation of charter schools, and I think for us still it's a new process of understanding charter renewals, and that's something that we'll be doing more regularly as they come up. Already this board has voted to say, yes, we'd like to see Union Colony Elementary continue on. That has already been given a vote of 7-0 in support of that. And so we really do get down to that term piece. The 15 years, that length of a term, is a concern to me. What we have so far from Union Colony, and we can see progress in the works, is that priority improvement status. But I have a concern about the students that are moving through, and as a board member, removing from future boards that ability to take a look at the renewal process. I see that as a responsibility to review and to act in the best interest of our students, our community students. And at this point, I would be more inclined to continue to say yes, but with a 5-year length, with a 5-year term. That allows actually 3 cohorts of students to go all the way, K through 5, with the total of the first 3 years and another 5 years. I know that charter schools continue on when you have parents who want to be there. And that's one way that we regulate charter schools, is by parent choice. But the other way that we regulate charter schools is by the authority that's placed on the board, in the Board of Education. And I have trouble taking a look at moving that out for 15 years.
Well, seeing no, I see now suddenly 2. Mr. Hafley.
No, I greatly appreciate the work that you've done, and I think the checks and balances are in place. And I know that both sides will negotiate in a positive manner. I look at us to have, I'm afraid I disagree with Dr. Richards, an extended length. I'm not sure that it's 15 years, but I think that 5 years is too short. I think that there are means for us to work together to ensure the success of our students. And I think that it's important that we work together to be successful.
Mr. Hall.
I too, I think that it's difficult for me to support a 15-year contract. I think it takes authority away from future boards. But I also think that we are proud to have each and every charter in this community with our kids. They're all our kids, so we got to do what's best for our kids. And we're proud, I'm saying we, I won't speak for any others, but I know they are very proud of the Union Colony operation and what they offer. And certainly your parents are proud and they're happy because I've spoken to several. I think that the key, and this came out in part of our discussion about this, is that I want to have the type of relationship and the type of viewpoint and the recognition of all schools equally across. So no matter who operates them, I don't care if they're a charter, I don't care if they're a D6 operated school. My opinion, we need to be able to look at them in the same light as any other school and support them and whatever else is required. So I too, I think that 5 is probably short. I think that's probably short because of the track history that Union Colony has with their high school and running. But I think 15 is too long at this point. Somewhere in the middle is probably it. And quite honestly, I haven't been able to reconcile in my own mind at this point the merging of the two into, which would effectively be one charter numbered by the state, which would eliminate the accountability and the record keeping on the other. And I understand that. I'm not an expert in it, but that's where I'm at. I think 5 is short, but I think 15 is long.
Thank you. Mr. Lydiak.
Just a couple of things. Again, I thought it was very enlightening today with the executive session. I think, we do have a lot more authority as a governing board, and not only an authority, but really it is upon us to evaluate every charter as we do every school every year. And it's not granted. I mean, believe me, I know and understand the basic sense of urgency when there is that renewal process over your head, but at the same time, I like what this contract empowers us to address and charge to a charter school, whether it's reports or whether it's revocation or any kind of steps that we need to take with a particular issue or problem that a charter is not being cooperative about and helping to resolve. So I'm much more satisfied with this contract. And just for clarification, we're also still talking about taking a vote on the contract as presented with the current term or length of time, right?
15.
So,
Right.
That's
okay,
correct.
just wanted to make
Yes,
double
thank you.
check that we're
That's
not amending it at this time. So anyway, those are my comfort levels, and it's just made me rethink how we should be viewing that. And yes, there is that extra added help around the renewal time and renewal process. But I do think we need to, as in our future boards, need to take this upon themselves each and every year. And there is also the 5-year grand review as well. And I was very, we always have that to fall back on.
And I think that the comment from our staff, the folks with whom the charters work, coming out in support of the fluidity and the exchange, that's been a great sign of success for us. The fact that our staff obviously will serve professionally no matter what the contract ends up being is a shot in the arm for ongoing good relations with charter schools in the district. Mr. Hall.
I just one short comment, and that is that we all have the, as Rhonda said, we're all devoted to improving that relationship. And wherever it ends out at 15 or 10 or whatever it is, I want us to always be around the table and work for that greater good of the kids. We need to do a better job of supporting you than we have in the past. And I think we all need to do a better job of communicating rather than just at the 5-year mark, maybe. We got to build that relationship. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I can say. And a contract can't build a relationship. I mean, it doesn't force anybody. It's a state of mind. So, I mean, that would be my hope.
Thank you. Going, gone. All right. Last comment? No, okay. I don't see any more lights. I think it's been moved and seconded and certainly discussed. So we're looking at this motion as presented earlier today. Roll call, Ms. Richards, please.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Nay.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
No.
Mr. Richardson?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
No.
Motion carries 4-3.
Thank you very much. Well, that concludes this evening's work together, and we certainly appreciate you joining us. This meeting is now adjourned.
You win.
I was.